Good morning, Alicia,
Morning, Jared. Great to be back.
and a very warm welcome to all of you listening to Vibrations and Manifestations.
Every year, as the cycle turns, there is this incredibly specific energy in the air. I mean, we feel it, right?
No, absolutely. It's
Mm.
it's everywhere.
It's that potent, charged mix of hope, excitement, and, let's be honest, maybe a little bit of quiet dread.
Yeah, the dread that comes with phrases like "New Year, New You."
Exactly. It's this relentless invitation to just wipe the slate clean.
Reinvent yourself completely. New goals, new habits, a whole new identity, supposedly overnight.
And that promise, I mean, it can feel so motivating at first, right? You get that rush of adrenaline.
But for the vast majority of us, it very quickly turns into this sense of immediate overwhelm.
And then burnout.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because the traditional resolution model, it it pushes us to demand a leap from ourselves.
A huge leap, not a step.
No, it demands this dramatic reinvention through just sheer intensity, discipline, and willpower.
And here's the problem, right? When that discipline inevitably falters because willpower is a finite resource, we all know that.
It always runs out.
It does. And we quietly internalize this idea that we are the failure. We blame our character or our motivation.
Instead of recognizing that the model we were using was fundamentally flawed from the very start.
So why is it so flawed?
Well, the model is misaligned because resolutions almost always aim exclusively at the outcome.
Right?
We say, I want to lose 20 pounds, or, I want to launch a business this quarter. These are just results.
They're symptoms of change.
Precisely. They are not the engine that creates the change. They're the destination, but the destination doesn't help you with the driving.
So you're saying they fail so consistently because they target the effect instead of the cause.
Exactly. The cause is your identity. You're asking the person who has maybe practiced avoidance for a decade to suddenly, on January 1st, embody the discipline of an established entrepreneur.
That sounds exhausting just thinking about it.
It requires a constant override. It's a heavy tax on your willpower. And willpower, as you said, it runs out. But identity, your self-concept, that's the infinite resource.
And that's the core of what we want to offer you today, isn't it? It's a sustainable alternative to that whole roller coaster.
Exactly. You do not need to generate a massive reserve of force or intensity to change. You need deep, lasting identity shifts through consistent, gentle repetition.
You don't need a dramatic reset. That person you want to be, they're already in there. You just need to start practicing that identity through these micro choices.
We are inviting you to stop negotiating with some perfect future self who's going to magically show up someday.
And instead, just start choosing differently right now as the person you already are.
Our mission in this deep dive is to explore exactly how those small, ordinary, almost negligible choices,
Especially the ones you make when no one's watching.
yes, how those quietly design your entire future reality. This isn't about striving. It's about alignment.
I can definitely recount my own extremely frustrating history with this. The promises were always so familiar, you know.
Oh, sure.
This was the year I'd finally get my health together, the year I'd stop starting over, the year I'd become disciplined, consistent, reliable.
All those big, sweeping promises.
Like trying to paint a massive mural in one sitting. It's too much.
And that sweeping language, that demand for immediate, maximal output, that's exactly what sets us up to fail.
It does. Because the assumption underneath it all was always, I need to become a different person and I need to do it fast.
Right. So you'd probably start out really strong.
Oh, yeah. A huge, unsustainable shift, like a massive workout or a drastic diet, the kind of visible behavior that screams, look, I'm changing.
It's performance.
It was all performance.
Yeah.
But what actually creates deep change isn't that external scream. It's more like a quiet internal whisper, isn't it?
A whisper of self-recognition.
Exactly. What really shifted things for me wasn't some huge breakthrough. It was a single, totally unglamorous micro choice.
Okay.
I remember one evening, it was a really long, stressful day. I hit that point of depletion where I'd usually just reach for my numbing behavior.
The go-to.
The go-to, wine or mindless scrolling or skipping a real meal because it felt like too much effort. And I'd always tell myself, you deserve to check out. Deal with it tomorrow.
That moment, that habitual response.
Yeah.
That is the critical fork in the road we have to make visible.
It is. But instead of lecturing myself, which just adds more stress, I paused.
Conscious pause.
Yeah. And I asked myself one gentle question, focused on identity, not the outcome. I asked, what would the version of me who actually cares about herself do right now?
And that phrasing is so key.
Yeah?
Not the perfect fantasy version.
No, just a slightly more aligned one, a version with just a tiny bit more self-care.
So what was the choice?
It was water instead of immediately reaching for wine. It was making a simple, real meal like an egg instead of just snacking on junk. And this was a big one, going to bed 30 minutes earlier instead of pushing through exhaustion to watch something I didn't even care about.
So nothing externally dramatic happened.
Nothing. The weight didn't drop off. But the shift inside was profound. I had reinforced a new identity. I cast a tiny vote for the person who values self-care over self-numbing.
And that's the power of what we call the accumulation principle. The change isn't in drinking the water once. It's in the internal belief that you are someone who consistently chooses that. You're stacking evidence.
I found the same thing with work, too. For years, my goals were these big external things. Launch the product, change careers, be more confident.
The waiting game.
Total waiting game. I had this pattern of, I'll do it later, or I need the right headspace first.
I need to feel confident before I can act.
Exactly. And I realized I would never feel ready. So one morning, I was about to put off sending this one follow-up email. It felt uncomfortable.
The resistance kicks in.
Instantly.
Sure.
But instead of trying to force myself to feel confident, I used another pivot question. What would someone who already sees themselves as capable do here?
I love that. Not successful, not a millionaire CEO.
Just capable.
Just capable. It's so much more accessible. It lowers the stakes. So what did you do?
The choice was almost laughably small. I just sent the email, took 5 minutes, no agonizing over it, just hit send.
And that one action didn't build the business.
No, but it reinforced a critical identity. I'm someone who follows through. I was practicing being someone who acts on small discomforts.
And this brings us right to the heart of it, the accumulation principle. Real, sustainable, and frankly, easy change happens when the identity shifts underneath the behavior.
Instead of pushing against the current?
Yes. It's not about pushing harder. It's about gently shifting the foundation. We're conditioned to believe we need to be a hero.
100-day perfect streak.
Right. But identity evolves slowly, through repetition. And here is the crucial realization that frees you from all that pressure. Once your identity begins to change, the effort required actually decreases.
That's so counterintuitive. We think it should always be a struggle. Can you unpack that a bit more?
Sure. When you repeatedly vote for a new identity, the choices stop feeling like self-control, which is you forcing something with willpower. They start to feel like self-recognition.
You're just doing what that kind of person does.
You're just doing what you do. The decision energy vanishes. You can look at Alfred Bandura's work on self-efficacy. Confidence is built not through big pronouncements, but through evidence of small successes.
So every time I chose the water or sent the email, that was a little piece of data.
A small, undeniable success that reinforced the belief, I am this person. The brain stops seeing it as an imposition and starts seeing it as a confirmation.
So the whole question shifts. It's not, how do I fix myself? It's
who am I choosing to be right now? And that one choice, multiplied by consistency, that changes everything.
Okay, so let's really nail down this distinction between outcomes and identity, because it's the whole foundation.
It is. So just to recap the flawed model, focusing on outcomes like losing weight creates misalignment.
You're building a skyscraper on a swamp.
Perfect analogy. So we have to establish the core rule. Identity creates outcomes. Outcomes do not create identity.
If you identify as a healthy person, healthy choices just become what you do.
They become inevitable, often without thinking. And we need a clear definition of identity here. It's not who you wish you were.
Right. It's not your ideal self.
No. Identity is simply your beliefs plus your behaviors. Specifically, the behaviors you repeat consistently. Your identity is what you do, not what you say you'll do.
And that's where the idea of micro-choices as identity votes becomes so powerful.
Yes. James Clear talks about this a lot. Every action is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. We focus on the size of the action, but the brain, it just focuses on the frequency of the vote.
I love that frame of a vote, because when I sent that small email, that was a vote. The water was a vote. They didn't look like much, but they were quietly reinforcing a belief.
I'm someone who follows through, or I'm someone who takes care of myself. And here's the fascinating psychology behind it. The brain prioritizes consistency way more than the size of the action. A huge, dramatic diet overhaul followed by a binge. That's actually less potent for identity than a daily 5-minute habit.
So showing up imperfectly every day is way more powerful than showing up perfectly once a month.
Exponentially more powerful.
Mhm.
Which brings us to the be before you become framework. In your story, you didn't wait to feel confident before sending the email.
No, I assumed the identity first. I acted as if I were already capable.
And the feeling followed. You asked, what would the aligned version of me do?
I see now how that bypasses the need for the feeling. The old way is I have to force myself to be disciplined until I eventually become disciplined.
A future distant goal.
Yeah. But this framework says I'll do one tiny thing a disciplined person would do right now and let the identity follow the action.
Exactly. You don't become healthier and then choose water. You choose water, and the identity starts to follow immediately. This is so important because it removes the pressure that collapses most change attempts.
So the internal talk shifts from I have to stop doing this forever, which is overwhelming,
To what would the aligned version of me do in this one moment? It's accessible. It's actionable. It bypasses all that resistance.
and when you do that enough, the identity starts to stabilize, and that's the manifestation cycle, right?
It is. When identity stabilizes, your behavior becomes predictable.
And when behavior is predictable.
Outcomes follow naturally. They stop being things you have to chase. They're just the result of the person you have consistently practiced being.
So you're not just visualizing a distant future, you are actively rehearsing it with these tiny choices today.
That is the very definition of sustainable manifestation.
Okay, to really trust this, though, I think we need to look under the hood, understand why repetition works, the science of it.
Absolutely. This is where neuroscience, psychology, and even spiritual law all point to the same thing. Let's start with the brain.
Good. Grounded in the physical.
Okay, Neuroscience 101. The wiring of identity. Every single time you repeat a behavior, you are literally changing the physical structure of your brain.
You're not just changing your mind, you're changing your brain.
Exactly. It's based on Donald Hebb's theory. Neurons that fire together wire together. Consistent small behaviors don't just create a habit, they physically strengthen new neural pathways.
So when I keep choosing water instead of wine when I'm stressed, I'm building a superhighway between the cue, the stress, and the new response.
A superhighway. That's a great way to put it. And at the same time, the old pathway, from stress to numbing, it starts to get weaker from disuse.
It's like a trail in the woods that gets overgrown.
Perfectly put. The new circuit gets myelinated. A fatty sheath wraps around it, speeding up the signal. This is how you get to automaticity. And the brain's highest priority is efficiency.
So it's actually easier for the brain to adopt the new identity once it's practiced enough.
Infinitely more efficient than using willpower to override the old path. Norman Doidge's work on neuroplasticity shows this clearly. The brain just observes your consistent behavior and reshapes its self-perception based on that data.
Which is why the internal dialogue shifts. It's no longer a struggle of what should I do? It's an effortless, what would someone like me do?
The identity makes the choice for you. And we can't forget the emotional part. Antonio Damasio's research shows that identity is deeply embodied.
It's not just a thought.
No, he talks about somatic markers. When you make that aligned microchoice, you get this subtle internal feeling of coherence or self-trust. That positive emotional reinforcement strengthens the new pathway exponentially faster than just logic ever could.
So you feel the change in your body first.
You do. Which leads us to the psychology of luring resistance.
We always think we have to tackle big resistance with big force.
And it just creates a power struggle. B.J. Fogg's work on tiny habits confirms that behavior change works best when the actions are ridiculously small.
Almost too small to count.
So small that they are emotionally rewarding and easily repeatable. That removes the resistance that stops us before we even begin.
And what about habit loops?
Charles Duhigg's work. A habit is a cue, a routine, and a reward. Micro-choices subtly shift the routine part. The cue, the stressful day, is still there. But instead of the old routine numbing, you insert a new, tiny routine.
Grabbing the water.
And the reward shifts from momentary relief to the longer-term emotional reward of self-recognition and coherence. It's an elegant, non-aggressive interruption.
Okay, so let's bridge this to the spiritual side, because all of this sounds very familiar.
It's all pointing to the same truth.
I'm thinking of Neville Goddard's law of assumption. Assume the identity first, and reality follows. It's the spiritual mirror of be before you become.
It is. When you choose the water, you are spiritually and energetically assuming, or in neuroscientific terms, rehearsing and stabilizing the identity of someone who is cared for.
And if you consistently rehearse that identity, your external reality has to reorganize itself to match.
It's not magic. It's behavioral physics. Predictable identity leads to predictable outcomes.
It stops being about forcing the world to give you things and starts being about becoming so internally stable that the world just matches your frequency.
Abraham Hicks talks about this. Identity is practiced energetically and emotionally before it manifests physically. The feeling of calm capability after sending that one email is the rehearsal.
And Joe Dispenza connects all of this directly to nervous system regulation.
Yes. Identity shifts are repeated internal states. By practicing small, aligned choices, like a deep breath, you are regulating your nervous system. You're training your body to be comfortable with the feeling of the new identity.
So whether you call it neuroplasticity, self-efficacy, or assumption.
The instruction is the same. Choose the feeling, commit the small action, and let repetition do all the heavy lifting for you.
Okay, this is where we have to shift from theory to utility, because this only matters if we can turn it into practice.
Right. From the conceptual to the tangible. Let's start with a tool we call the identity ladder.
Okay, tool 1, the identity ladder. So first, you identify one identity you want to strengthen. And it has to be an identity, not a goal, right?
Critical distinction. Not lose 20 pounds, but someone who takes care of their health. Not start a business, but someone who follows through on their ideas.
So you imagine that identity at the top of a ladder. And the key is you only focus on the next rung.
Forget the top, forget the middle, just the very first step up.
Then you apply what we call the shrinking principle. You ask, what is one behavior that person does without effort? And then you shrink it down until it feels almost too easy to count.
So small you feel foolish not doing it.
Exactly. So for financially clear, it could be, open your banking app and just look at the number for 5 seconds. That's it.
For a clear communicator, it could be pausing for one full breath before you reply to any text message.
That tiny action is the next rung. It's too small to trigger fear or procrastination. It's an easy identity vote.
Perfect. Okay, tool 2, micro-choice mapping. This is where we get forensic about finding the moments of choice.
The leverage points. We need to locate that moment in the day where the old identity usually shows up.
That predictable moment of stress or avoidance, the 5 p.m. slump, the difficult email, the moment you walk into the kitchen after dinner.
You picture that moment clearly, and you identify the fork in the road by asking 2 questions. First, what does the old identity usually choose here?
Be honest, I'll avoid this. Or, I deserve to check out with my phone for an hour.
And second question, what would the future aligned identity choose instead? And remember, it has to be the smallest, most manageable version of that choice.
So instead of grabbing a cookie, maybe you peel an orange.
Exactly. The purpose here is just visibility. You're not judging the old option, you're just making the choice conscious instead of automatic.
And that pause is everything. Tool 3, future identity anchoring.
This one is for when things are moving fast, when you're rushed or triggered and about to just default to the old pattern.
Your one-breath intervention.
Yeah. The next time you feel that pull toward the familiar pattern, you pause for one single grounding breath. A full stop.
And in that pause,
You ask the question, who am I practicing being right now? Not who you are, but who you're rehearsing. Then, who do I want this moment to belong to?
and the action, the physical anchor, it doesn't need to be impressive.
Not at all. It just has to be aligned. That one breath, a sip of water, closing the laptop, that becomes the physical anchor for the identity you're building.
So let's quickly stack them. The ladder shows you who you're becoming,
Mapping shows you where it gets practiced.
and anchoring shows you how to choose in real time.
Together, it's a complete low-pressure system. And every moment, no matter how small, is a rehearsal.
Okay, but we have to talk about the wobble, because it's going to happen.
The inevitable wobble, yes, because as soon as you start making these new choices, the old identity, it doesn't just go away quietly, it gets loud.
It throws a tantrum because it sees the change as a threat to the system's efficiency.
That's the voice that says, it's been a long day, you deserve this. Or, this one little choice doesn't matter, just start again tomorrow.
The negotiation. It's completely predictable.
And the reframe here, which is so important, is that this voice is not sabotage, it's just familiarity.
It's the identity you've practiced the most. It's the most robust and efficient neural pathway you have. So instead of fighting it, we enter manifestation debug mode.
I like that. So step 1.
Step 1. Catch the old identity in the act. Just be mindful of that small moment that trips you up. Notice the first thought. I deserve this. I don't have time.
And you just notice it without judgment.
Awareness is the first interruption. Then step 2. Name the identity, not the behavior. This is a huge compassionate shift.
So instead of, I'm lazy or I have no willpower,
You say, this is the version of me that learned the pattern of avoidance. Or, this is the version of me that defaults to numbing when I feel unregulated.
that creates so much space. It's not who you are, it's a pattern you practice.
Exactly. It's what Carol Dweck calls a flexible mindset. Failure isn't a fixed trait. It's part of the process.
Okay.
Okay, step 3. Ask the identity question again.
The pivot. Once you have that space, you quietly ask, what would the version of me I'm strengthening choose right now?
Not forever, just right now.
And the answer is always a micro choice. A sip of water. Taking one deep breath.
That's your pivot point,
Oh.
which leads to step 4. Make the choice and stop there. This is key.
Oh, this is so important. You don't have to make up for it by suddenly doing 10 new habits.
No, you make the one micro choice and then you stop. You move on with your day. Let your nervous system register it without all the drama.
The identity shift happens after the action, when the brain just logs the new evidence.
And we absolutely have to normalize the missed moments. You will sometimes pour the drink. The old identity will win sometimes.
And that doesn't erase all the other choices you've made.
No. The only failure is spiraling into self-judgment. Instead of spiraling, the only question that matters is, what's the next available micro choice?
You don't have to wait until tomorrow. You can choose differently in the very next moment.
That's the key. Alignment is always just one choice away.
Okay, now that we have the tools and the debug mode, we want to integrate this through some gentle reflection for the week.
Right. The goal here is just pattern recognition. It's about collecting evidence for yourself, not generating some huge, overwhelming insight.
Okay, so prompt 1. At the end of the day, take 5 minutes and ask, what identity am I rehearsing today?
And focus on actual choices, not your intentions. Just be descriptive. Today I practice being someone who avoids discomfort, or today I practiced being someone who prioritizes rest.
No judgment. It's a rehearsal, not a final performance.
Exactly. Prompt 2. Where did I choose differently? This is your evidence collection. Find one tiny thing that felt more aligned than usual.
Pausing, choosing water, opening the document.
Write it down. This is how you teach your brain, this is who I am now. You're giving yourself those small, concrete successes.
Then prompt 3 for intention setting. What identity do I want to strengthen tomorrow?
Just name one identity and one micro choice associated with it for the next day. Just sets your focus.
And then optionally, at the end of the week, you can look back. Don't look for dramatic progress, right?
No, look for patterns of consistency. What identities showed up more often, what choices felt a little easier. That is evidence that the new alignment is taking root.
I love that. And now, after all that thinking, we move into embodiment.
Because identity isn't intellectual, it's something you feel.
Hmm.
The nervous system has to accept it as safe and familiar.
So this visualization is a chance for the body and mind to rehearse the feeling of the new identity, making it familiar before it's even fully here. So let's settle the body now. If it feels comfortable, you can gently close your eyes or just soften your gaze and let your attention turn inward. Bring your awareness fully to your body. Feel the surface beneath you. Let your shoulders soften, your jaw unclench. Just allow your natural breath to move you. Feeling safe and supported. Now, bring a gentle awareness to the present you. Just observe the version of you sitting here. Acknowledge the patterns, the identities you've practiced. Hold them with compassion. Now, gently introduce the future identity. Sense or imagine a version of yourself about a year from now. Not a perfect version, just the steady version. They move through the world with a little more calmness, more presence. If a visual is hard, just focus on the feeling of being near them. Do they feel more spacious? Do they radiate self-trust? Let that feeling settle into your own body now. Observe the difference. Notice something subtle about this future you. How do they breathe? Where do their shoulders rest? There's a lack of internal rush in their energy. Let yourself feel the quality of that. Now, imagine an ordinary, familiar moment of temptation or stress. The fork in the road we mapped earlier. See it clearly. Sense the fork. The old identity's impulse appears. The thought that says, I'll do it later, or I deserve to check out. Just notice it. Now, gently shift your attention. Watch how the steady, regulated version of you moves through this exact same moment. They don't struggle. What small, natural choice do they make instead? It might be reaching for water, or taking one conscious breath, or opening the laptop for just 5 minutes. Now, step into that choice and anchor it. Imagine yourself making that micro choice and feel the sensation in your body. Does your chest feel more open? Is your breathing slower? Feel that sense of being settled and coherent. Let that sensation register deeply and silently repeat the anchoring phrase. This is who I'm practicing being. Not perfection, just practice. Let that feeling settle into your nervous system as familiarity. Now, take one slow, deep breath. Feel the surface beneath you again. Notice the room around you. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes. Remember, you just practice one moment, but every time you choose from that aligned identity, you strengthen the pathway. That's how becoming happens, one quiet choice at a time.
That embodiment exercise really lets the nervous system integrate the whole lesson. As we close out, let's just summarize the fundamental shift we talked about.
Yeah, this wasn't about the intensity of resolutions or trying to fix yourself. It was about realizing that sustainable change comes from understanding how identity forms.
Through consistent, gentle repetition, not force.
We covered that identity is that coherence between your beliefs and your consistent behaviors. And every micro-choice is an undeniable identity vote.
A vote that quietly builds evidence and strengthens those neural pathways for your new self-concept.
We stressed the be before you become framework. You assume the identity through one small action, and the feeling, the confidence, it all follows.
We grounded this in neuroscience, behavioral psychology, and the spiritual principle of the law of assumption.
And we gave you tangible tools, the identity ladder, micro-choice mapping, and future identity anchoring. And we reframed failure as just practicing an old identity.
Reminding you that alignment is always just one choice away.
So if you take one thing away, let it be this. You create your future identity through the micro-choices you make today.
And we want to leave you with a concrete practice for this week, a one-week identity practice for both day and night.
For your day practice, it's simple. Choose just one micro-choice for the whole week. Just one. That one tiny repeatable choice that reflects the identity you're strengthening.
Practice it daily, without pressure. That's your daily vote. That is enough.
And for your night integration, we want to support that shift through deliberate rest. We know from sleep research that deep sleep is critical for consolidating learning and behavioral change.
When you calm your system before sleep, you allow the day's positive identity votes to integrate deeply, moving them from conscious effort into your subconscious.
And nervous system regulation is the unsung hero here. A regulated nervous system is a prerequisite for behavioral flexibility.
So supporting your nervous system at night is a micro-choice in itself. It reinforces the identity of someone who supports their own alignment.
To help with that, we have our collection of night alignment sleep guides. They use gentle audio to help the nervous system soften, quiet the mental loops, and make space for that new identity to integrate while you sleep.
So that's your practice framework. One micro-choice during the day, repeated without pressure, plus one moment of nervous system support at night. That combination is exponentially powerful.
And it is absolutely enough. Thank you so much for trusting us with your time today.
We hope this offered you genuine relief and empowered you to see change not as work, but as a gentle, consistent rehearsal of the self you already are.
Be kind to yourself this week. Notice the small wins, those tiny votes you cast, and let alignment meet you exactly where you are. Until next time.